Welcome to day one of Debate Kingdom. I'm your host of this evening, Mr. Rock the Master himself, Jonathan Peck here, and welcome to the Sports Brawl Championship match. We got two very competitive competitors right here. To me, and my left and my right, to my right over here, my side right here, we got Mr. Matt Graham. How you doing, Matt?
What's up, buddy? I've competed with both of these guys. I know for a fact that they are both hella competitors. So if we're gonna start Debate Kingdom off, let's do it with these two juggernauts.
Very good, very good. On my left right here, we got Mehdi. Mehdi, how you doing?
I'm good, bro. I'm good. Have some cool questions and answers lined up, and not gonna lie, I'm kind of excited for how this all goes.
Me too, ain't you indeed. And let's get to our competitors right here, though. Starting with the current holder of the belt right here, we got self-proclaimed debate god, Mr. Sean Wasserkrug. How you doing, Sean?
I'm doing good. I'm ready to start Debate Kingdom off. This is step one to my 3 steps that by the end of Debate Kingdom, you will call me Sean Three Belts.
All right. All right, Mr. John Two Belts right here. To the other competitor right here, that we got Mr. Papa West, Jacob West. How you doing, Jacob?
I don't know, Jonathan. I don't know if I can take him down. I really wish there was someone here to hype me up. Oh, Jacob, you're fine. You got this. You can kick my ass. I know you can. You got it. Oh, thank you, little Sean. That really pumped me up. And you know what? You can talk about being Sean Two Belts, Sean Three Belts all you want. It's gonna be really embarrassing when I take that belt from you, and then I take on Grant, and I get this Game Zone championship. So we'll have Sean, maybe 2 belts. I don't know who's taking you on in nerd fights. I don't know if they're going to be able to do it. But Sean, 2 belts, and then Jacob, 2 belts. Let's do this.
Well, since we're apparently cutting promos right now, because I thought we were just being announced and that was it. Papa West, I love that you cut a cute little promo, and I'm glad that you're such a fan that you got my own personal doll. That is such a strike to the heart. I feel so good about it. But I
It's
also
a piece of paper.
Hey, merch is merch, baby. Merch is merch. But what I love is that when you cut that promo about me with Little Sean, it's funny that the best conversation you could have or the best flow of your whole promo was when you were impersonating me. But as soon as you took Little Sean away, you just flubbed over yourself. You called me the Dallas Cowboys of Debate Kingdom, that I'm all flash and no substance. I'm Sean Two Belts. I literally have 2 belts. I'm 8-0. I have no speed rounds. I am your debate god. But you're right. I'm all flash, no substance. Let this get this over with. Out in 3, 4 if I want to play with my food. Start the clock.
Okay.
That's cute.
Oh, I'm adorable, baby.
Can I use that line on Tinder?
Yeah.
Which one?
I'm gonna put a bunch of them down and just be like, I'm adorable, baby, or like 4 if I want to play with my food. Like, Jesus Christ.
Hey, if it helps you get chicks, I'm proud of you, bro.
All right, hold on. I'm Paris. Before we begin the match right here, I just want to take a quick moment of silence for all of us in our trivia community. And happened a few weeks ago, unfortunately, we lost someone in the sports community around the world to not only the great legend Kobe Bryant, but his daughter Gina, and other passengers in a tragic helicopter crash a couple of weeks back. And we want to give it a moment of silence to him, to his family, and the victim's family right here. To all of us in our community, be a quick moment of silence for them. Thank you. May Kobe and Gio, may rest in peace. Indeed. If you had one shoot. Okay. For our roles this evening, we got one. Each of you guys have one time extension right here. We got 90-second opening, and after that, we get into our how many minutes of argument right here. Then after that, we get to the closer right here. 5-minute close. 5-minute closing right here, and after that, we get to the argument, etc. Now, each you guys have a time extension right here. If you want to use it any time of the round, you may right here. So just make sure everybody's clear on it with the 60-minute closing right here. So make sure everybody's cool. Everyone got it? All right. Let me try that question again. Sorry about that. All right. We're going round one in the category of the NFL. Recently, we got Super Bowl 54 in the books around here, and we just thought my influence of the Super Bowl with the Chiefs beating the 49ers, and the 49ers didn't win at all. This question might be a very interesting one. What is the best NFL team that didn't win or didn't get to the Super Bowl? And the first comparator to answer that is Mr. Current the bells, Mr. Sean Wasserkrug right here, and see what did he pick.
When it comes to the best team to never win a Super Bowl, a team to never win a championship, in the NFL, there literally is only one correct answer in terms of the greatest team to never pull off the big one, and that has got to be the 2007 New England Patriots. They went 18-0, or they went basically 18-0 all the way up to the Super Bowl. They're the only team outside of the Miami Dolphins to go completely undefeated in a regular season, make it all the way to the championship game against the horrible, horrible New York Giants. Yes, Cowboy fan. And to lose it on basically a miracle play to stop the historic perfection moment of going 19-0. There is no question that the only correct answer to this is the New England Patriots of 2007.
Okay, Sean picked the 2007 Patriots. Very good selection indeed. Jacob, what team do you pick?
All right, so Sean, you are correct. There's only one correct answer for the best team to never win the Super Bowl, but you didn't pick the right team. The 2007 New England Patriots, that's what I like to call the basic bitch answer, because 16-0, that's easy. But if you really look at the strength of the team and what they were producing on the field, you have to go back to 1998 to a team up north called the Minnesota Vikings. This team went 15-1 in the regular season and then lost in the NFC Championship game. But what they were able to do was unmatched. They blew out their opponents. They physically stopped their opponents. And they did all of it with most of the season with the backup quarterback too. My answer, the correct answer, the 1998 Minnesota Vikings.
All right, we got the 2007 Patriots versus the 1998 Vikings. Basically, two teams featuring Randy Moss and their team. 5-minute debate start begins when you guys speaking.
I love that in your opening, you basically gave me the win already. You said that 16-0 is nothing. Your team couldn't even go 16-0. They went 15-1. And you said that your team did stuff that no one could do that was unmatched until the 2007 Patriots that broke every record that the 1998 Vikings had up to that point. Your team, while a great team, a historical team, in fact, by having a kicker that was perfect through the entire season, every record that they made in that season, the 2007 Patriots did. You said that they murdered every team out there. The Patriots had an opposition of outscoring their teams by 20 points per game. Brady broke the record for most touchdown passes in a season. Moss broke the record for most catches in a season. They were the first team since the Dolphins to go completely undefeated. But you're right. It's the basic bitch answer, but it's also the right answer. Your team couldn't even get through the season undefeated.
When 6 of your wins are against the Buffalo Bills, who went 7-9 that year, the New York Jets, who went 4-12, and then everyone's favorite Miami Dolphins, who went 1-15, that's a tough schedule. You look at what they did. The 2007 New England Patriots started the season off strong. Yes, they were blowing out opponents by 20 points. You look at how they ended the season. Their last, 5 games were one-possession games. They almost lost so many times, including the 31-28 to the Philadelphia Eagles, 27-24 to the Baltimore Ravens, who were 5-11. Not a good team that year. 20-10 to the New York Jets, which went 4-12. Again, not a great year.
You know as well as I do that every rivalry team in a division has tough games. You guys have hard times beating the Detroit Lions. So I don't want to hear anything about you attacking the AFC East.
They were also 5-11, so a lot better than your Miami Dolphins. But here's another thing too. If you look at how the Vikings were able to do it, yes, Randy Moss had more touchdowns with the Patriots. You know why? He was the only receiver for the Patriots.
That's not true. You had Wes Welker.
Not in his prime, Wes Welker.
You also had Chris Carter.
Exactly. Who is a Hall of Famer.
Exactly.
You had Chris Carter and Randy Moss.
We had Gronk. We had Wes Welker.
You did not have Gronk.
Well, okay,
Was
then
Gronk
we had Aaron Hernandez then.
Okay, but not in their prime.
All that stuff happened.
Not in their prime, Aaron Hernandez. And if Rob Gronkowski was there,
Randy Moss was in his prime. Randy Moss was almost about to retire. So he did all that on his last couple years in the league. So don't say that like it was the best Randy Moss. It wasn't. It was a Randy Moss who basically signed with the Patriots because that's where all the old vets went. This was a Patriots team that was a bunch of old veterans who just went there because they liked Tom Brady. It was
a Randy Moss who in the second time in his career actually had a decent quarterback.
That doesn't take away the fact that the whole team went undefeated. They had the most points scored in a season record. 33 points more than your Minnesota Vikings, in fact. So you like to talk trash about how my team almost gave it away at the end. At least my team didn't give it away. Your team lost. And let's talk about your team for an instance. Your team was in the NFC Championship game against the Falcons. Good. They missed a field goal. They still had the lead and still gave it up, went to overtime, had over 2 different times they could have won the game, and they lost to the lonely Dirty Bird Falcons, who were frankly outclassed, should never have been in that Super Bowl, which we all saw they got murdered by the Broncos in that game. And they basically played like garbage in that game. So you're talking about the best team ever, and
you're saying the Patriots didn't play like garbage against the Giants in the Super Bowl?
Literally lost because of a miracle catch by David Tyree. They literally needed Eli Manning to dodge 8 sacks and then have David Tyree catch a football on his flipping helmet.
They also had a horrible offense in that game. Tom Brady was not throwing great. The Giants defense was able to stop Randy Moss. Again, they didn't have any other receiver options. They did not have a run game. You know what? Minnesota did have a run game. Randall Cunningham, their backup quarterback, played since week 2. One of them broke the record for most rushing yards by a quarterback that season. Robert Smith, running back, Pro Bowl. Chris Carter, Pro Bowl. Randy Moss, Pro Bowl. This team had a great offense. This team had a great defense. They couldn't
go undefeated, could they? They lost in the regular season, and they lost in the NFC Championship game.
Time.
Okay, time right here. All right. We're okay. Yeah, good so far. Look for a minute closing. Start with Sean Wasserkrug when he starts talking.
You like to throw all these stats about how great the Vikings were in 1998. Cool. I love stats too. But frankly, your stats don't match the stats of the New England Patriots. And let's face it, the 1998 Vikings would get thrashed by today's standards of the players that are playing in the leagues today. They would not be able to compete today. They would have multiple losses throughout their season. They're not as good as you think they were. In 1998, the league was not that great. It was basically the Packers and the Broncos, and then the Vikings just had a surprisingly great season, but they couldn't go undefeated throughout the regular season. And then in the game that they lost, they had a lead, blew it, had a chance to win it twice in overtime, could not do it, and then lost the game. My team was dominant through the entire season, broke multiple records for multiple things in the team, had a 20-point game winning against their opponents, made it to the Super Bowl, and had to lose on a miracle catch by David Tyree. the best team to never win a Super Bowl is clearly the undefeated 2007 New England Patriots.
Okay. Time. Jacob, we start talking.
Again, you want to bring up they lost in the regular season. They lost to the 8-8 Buccaneers 27-24, a 3-point loss. That's a really close game against a rival. The Buccaneers were in the NFC Central along with the Vikings. They were blowing out opponents, which, while yes, you said that the Patriots had more points, they also played a lot weaker defenses. You know, Tom Brady would not live in the defenses of the 90s and 80s. This was pre-tuck rule. This was they're wanting to protect the quarterback. This was whenever teams were actually attacking each other. You're right. The Vikings would not win today because they would be penalized on every play because they were playing too aggressive. Plus, the Viking season is not covered in controversy. 2007, the New England Patriots had Spygate where they were stealing signs off of the New York Jets and a 4-12 team. You have to cheat to beat that team? What in the world? The best team does not cheat to be a 4-12 team, Sean.
Time.
Woo. Very good arguments. Very good arguments by both of your teams right here. Very interesting right here. Gonna start up judging. We can see Matt. What are your thoughts on the argument, and who do you think deserves the point?
Well, they definitely came out swinging for the fences. Yes, I decided to use a sports pun. Good dad joke. Yay, go me. Honestly, I'm going to give my point to Sean. I think Jacob came out a little on kind of shaky legs, and his closing came out swinging. I just think it was a little too late. So Sean's going to get this point.
All right. Sean, D, what do you think gets a point in your eyes?
I agree with Matt on the most part. I think both of them did really well. Jacob, I heard a lot from you near the end of your argument, which really hit me. And I think, honestly, the Spygate thing threw me over where the Patriots were stealing signs from a team that was and has been since not great. That kind of threw it over for me. So I'm going to go with Jacob on this one.
1-1 tie. This should be interesting. Both good arguments on each of your team right here. Jacob, I love your closing right here, but it wasn't enough to help you with the rest of your argument. Excuse me. It wasn't enough to help with your argument, though, so I had to get my point to Sean, though. You came very close, though. That way you have a great closing right here, but I was expecting a little bit more things to help with your argument, especially some of the Hall of Fame players on your defense, like John Randall, all that stuff, and even you mentioned like the record stuff like Andy Anderson, all that stuff, and you talk about what is the main reason your team's successful around here, though. I didn't hear enough of yours to help it elevate the edge for me. Well, Sean, on the other hand, does right here. And does poke some in the holes right here your team have. So I had to get my point to Sean right here. With that, Sean wins round one. It scored 1-0 Sean, though.
Real quick fact check. Neither Gronk or Hernandez were on the Patriots at that point. I think their tight end, who was it? Hang on. I had it pulled up because I was not sure. It's Kyle Brady, Steven Spach, and Benjamin Watson were the tight ends of the Patriots.
Makes it even better that they were able to go undefeated.
So Matt, Jonathan, if that swayed your judgment at all, please let us know because it is not too late to change your
it really isn't. Also, I'm glad the Giants beat the Patriots. I'm going to put it out there. I'm so happy.
Let me defend this. I'm a Cowboy fan. I hate the Giants. I also hate the Patriots. But even I was happy that the Giants won that game because
that means you're not.
I'm an Eagle fan. Same boat. Hate the Giants. Eli Manning is a god because he beat Brady twice.
Yeah,
a perfect pass to David Tyree and a perfect pass to Mario Manningham the next time. Like it
hurt my soul. that I
Him
had.
retiring a couple of weeks ago.
Giant.
I'm a Giants fan, so you guys can just
I
get your ass down while we sit on our ring.
well, this is awkward for me though because I have a team in the background, which I'm not going to talk about right now. But I have a similar thing as your guys does, so we kind of got the pitch it lost. So, by the way, let's go to round 2 real quickly. We're going to round 2 very quick. We're going to Calgary and LNB Major League Baseball, and the question for the round 2 is: what baseball player had the best performance in the World Series? So I'm going to start with this round with Jacob on this one.
And guys, don't forget your 1 minute opening or closing extensions if need be.
Yeah.
All right. The best performance in the World Series. Again, easy pick. There's only one right answer. And you have to go to the best pitcher of all time, the great Sandy Koufax. And the one performance that I am wanting to throw out to y'all is whenever they beat the Twins in Game 7, or they beat the Twins 4-3 in 1965. Sandy Koufax was the MVP of that World Series because he had a fantastic World Series. In fact, some would say he had the best performance in a World Series.
Okay, we got Sandy Koufax, Jacob. Sean, what did you pick?
You're right, Jacob. Some people would say that. Not most people. If you look at any of the lists for the best World Series performances of all time, not most people, but you would say that. Mine is going to go to another pitcher who had a phenomenal performance, and it was also a best-of-7 World Series, went all the way to Game 7, and that is Madison Bumgarner in the 2014 World Series, which literally, without him, the San Francisco Giants would not only have not made it to the World Series, but they wouldn't even have stood a chance in the World Series. And that is why his performance is the best World Series performance of all time.
Okay, hold on, right here. All right. We got Sonny Koufax versus Madison Bumgarner. Find it out when you guys start talking.
Sean, what list are you looking at? Because every list I looked at, including Bleacher Report, Watch Mojo, had Sandy Koufax in the top 3.
And you know who was also in the top 3? Madison Bumgarner. ESPN, Sporting News, Sports Illustrated, Baseball Almanac, ESPN, I think I already said that, Bleacher Report. So yes, I read the same lists you do, Jacob, and Madison Bumgarner is right there with Sandy Koufax. Here's the difference, and this is the big difference between Madison Bumgarner and Sandy Koufax. Sandy Koufax lost a game in the World Series. He didn't even go undefeated. And not only that, he chose, and this is coming from someone who's up in Jewish heritage, chose to not pitch Game 1 of the World Series because of Yom Kippur. He chose not to pitch in the championships because of this. And then he came back in Game 2 and lost because of it. I grant you, he had 2 great performances after that. But you cannot say best World Series performance when you have a loss on your record. Madison Bumgarner went 2-0 and had the longest career save in a World Series of all time. Also, he had a complete game shutout, which, yes, I would agree Sandy Koufax had that too. But let's put it this way. The level of competition in terms of hitting from 1965 to 2014 is drastically different. Sandy Koufax would get slaughtered by today's pitchers. The balls are more juiced. The players are more enhanced in more ways than one, and they would have slaughtered him. Madison Bumgarner did this in the current landscape of MLB, and not only did he dominate, but his ERA was a .43. He had a complete game shutout, and he came in Game 7 on 2 days rest, mind you, to pitch 5 shutout innings to win the World Series.
So, real quick question. Before Barry Bonds cheated his way to get the most amount of home runs, who had the most home runs in a career before him?
In a career, or are we talking about in a season?
In career.
It would be Hank Aaron.
Yeah, who played in the 60s. Not in normal time, which you're saying. Every batter was juiced. You had a lot more home runs.
The pitchers back then were garbage, and the fields were smaller. It was a hell of a lot easier to hit home runs back then than in the 2000s.
but you also have people using steroids and cheating, and we're not going to get into that.
Right.
But see, here's the thing. Here's the thing, Sean. You want to say that Sandy Koufax was horrible because he skipped game 1 because of Yom Kippur.
Didn't say it was horrible.
I find that very inspirational.
I'm sure the rest of the Dodgers are kind of inspirational when they lost.
He has an understanding that God is more important than sports. That's very inspirational. That's something I want my son to look up to. Game 2, he pitched. He lost. They lost 2-1. And you ready for this? He only had 1 earned run. The only reason that they scored a second run was because of an error, not Sandy Koufax's fault. And then he had two complete game shutouts, which Madison Bumgarner, again, repeat me if I'm wrong, was only able to do once. Madison Bumgarner is only known for a good performance because of 1 game, and that was his 5-inning close in Game 7.
Wait. You said he's only known for 1 game, and that was the close, not the complete game shutout he had in Game 3? Or give me Game 4. Give me a break. He had the first complete game shutout in the last 14 years, and you're going to say he wasn't known for that he was known for
And Sandy had 2.
Cool. In 1965, they had like 3 pitchers on a team. That stuff happened all the time back then. In today's standards, pitchers have like 18 pitchers on a roster. The chances of pitchers having to pitch on 2 days rest is not very thought of in today's standards. In the 1960s, that was something that happened all the damn time. In fact, you could have gone with Gibson, who did 3 complete games in a World Series. That would have been a better argument for you. Instead, you went with
Then why didn't you? Why didn't you?
You know why? You know why I didn't? Because Madison Bumgarner's stats were better. And you know what? Gibson never
They are not better.
Unlike Sandy.
Sandy Koufax had a .38 ERA, 24 innings pitched, 2 runs, 29 strikeouts. Madison Bumgarner, 21 innings pitched, 9 hits, 1 run, 17 strikeouts. You look at it, Madison Bumgarner did not have better stats. Sandy Koufax had better stats.
If you adjust by innings, he had better stats. Your guy also has 5
innings. He had 12 more strikeouts in 3 innings. That's physically impossible to get 12 strikeouts in 3 innings.
Your guy also, it's impossible to get 3 strikeouts in an inning? Are you kidding me?
No, it's impossible to get 12 in 3. You can get 9.
Time. Matters.
Wow. Okay.
I'm just glad he's heated. I'm glad that this actually feels like a fight. I'm happy about this.
I'm glad you too. All right. 60 seconds. Final thoughts on each of your arguments. Jacob, we'll start with you. 60 seconds. Go. When you start talking.
Don't give me that bullshit of Madison Bumgarner had better stats. Well, yes, Sandy Koufax had 3 more innings. He had 12 more strikeouts. It would take you 4 innings to get 12, and that's striking out every single batter. That doesn't happen. And you know what? Sandy Koufax was also able to do something Madison Bumgarner couldn't do. He was able to hit the ball. He had a hit, which turned into an RBI, which led to them winning the game. Sandy Koufax, do not talk during my time. We should penalize him for that. Sandy Koufax had a better performance, both pitching and was able to hit the ball, which Madison Bumgarner was not able to do. His 1 loss, he still had a fantastic outing. Only 2 runs allowed. Well, 2 runs, 1 allowed. He was pretty shut out. Now you can say, Madison Bumgarner had better hitters. Tell me 1 hitter on the Kansas City Royals. They're not known for their hitters. The fact that they made it to the World Series just baffles me.
Time. All right. Sean, 60 seconds. Final thoughts when you start talking.
First, I'd like to apologize for saying something that is uncalled for, and I apologize for that. Don't penalize me for that. But yes, he got 1 hit. What can he do? Pitchers actually batted back then. Pitchers barely bat today, and they usually get pitch hit the whole time that they're in there. You like to throw the hit that his stats are better. He pitched more innings, but he had more hits allowed than Bumgarner did. He had more walks than Bumgarner did. And how dare you say the Kansas City Royals were not a good hitting team? Yes, they didn't hit home runs. They played small ball, and they were brilliant at it. They loved extra base hits, and they loved stealing the ball. They were one of the most exciting teams to watch in 2014. So how dare you besmirch the Kansas City Royals. Madison Bumgarner came in and did something that you will not see probably again, and that was put on a lights-out performance. He was the Iron Man of pitching through that World Series. Sandy Koufax still lost a game, and even then, even in Game 7 of the World Series, he had 3 walks and 3 hits in that game. Bumgarner came in and threw 5 blank-out shutout innings to win the World Series, and he was undefeated in that thing.
Time. Woo! Wow. What a match. And we didn't get to the midpoint yet. Wow.
So are we penalizing for the interruption, or are we?
There's no penalization for it. If anything, you would have given him 15
So he should get a warning for it, and if he does it again, his next closing would be 10 seconds off. But that's all the penalizing.
All right, I'm giving you a warning officially.
Yeah, we'll give you a warning right here. Then we'll do that. We'll give you the slap of the wrist right here. If you do it again, I'll take 10 seconds off right here, though.
I forgot it was the closing for a split second. I apologize.
That's why you mute yourself, Sean.
Hey.
Bad Sean. Bad Sean.
I'm a debate god. I can't mute my camera for a little bit.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right, Mandy.
All right. Okay. Get serious for a moment. All right. Before I get my thoughts right here, D, what do you think this argument right here, and who should get the point?
Oh man, I hadn't actually made a decision yet, so I'm just gonna talk my way until I figure it out. Both of you guys made solid arguments. I feel like it kind of shifted from the argument more to just like how the games were, and then got a little off track with the Yom Kippur thing, but that's besides the point. Both of you guys really brought up a couple of key points that I thought were really interesting. Wouldn't have been the ones that I brought up, like bringing up the fact that he had more strikeouts in less, it would be 12 more strikeouts, and then also Sean bringing up the fact that how he played through that. You guys really rebutted each other really well, so I'm almost at a decision, I swear to God. You know what? Slightest of margins, I'm going to give it to Sean, just because of the point of him saying that, there's more hitters, and that Kansas City plays small ball, and kind of defending on what you put in the final argument there. Honestly, that one line is probably the reason, but, ask me in like 10 minutes, I'll probably change my mind again. But for right now, that's what I'm saying. So I'll give Sean the margin on this one.
All right. Point Sean. I'm gonna go with Matt. What his thoughts on it, and who should get the point?
Oh fuck! I was hoping you were gonna go first.
I'm the head
this
judge.
was
So I can
really. Oh, trust me, you're gonna judge. There's a little foreshadowing for you.
Way to give the answer away.
I think there was one thing that brought up that kind of didn't get rebutted as much is the fact that just the 12 homers or the 12 strikeouts kind of stuck to him. So it really wasn't rebutted too much. So I'm gonna give the point to Jacob.
All right. All right. The person I think should get this point right here, I'm actually gonna go get my point to Jacob on this one, because the reason I think that, because he had a point that, at the time was a little bit old right here with his player played. I think Koufax had put up a better percentage and stats right here that Sean's pick is right here, and I think he have a good coherent argument right here to Furon. So I get my point to Jacob on that one. So right now we're tied 1-1 so far, going around to round number 3. And round number 3 might be a more very little surprise going to in the category and the NCAA. And by the time right here, we're in February right now, and I don't know by the time we might release this. I don't know, they might release it in March or a couple days before March. So I put this question out here, just a little bit more fun right here in the category of the NCAA. What is the biggest upset in March Madness history? So we're going to start with Sean with his pick real quick.
When it comes to the biggest upset in March Madness history, there's only one echelon that matters. There's one record up until 2 years ago that has been the staple point when it comes to the NCAA tournaments, and that is that the 16 seed always loses to the 1. 16 seeds were 0 and 135 in the first round against the number 1 seed. It was unheard of. It was something that was never believed to happen. There were times where a 16 seed would get close and play a close game. You're like, oh, it's going to happen. And then the number 1 seed ends up pulling on a 10-0 run and dominating everyone. But in 2018, it finally happened. UMBC, the 16 seed who didn't belong in the tournament in the first place, basically showed up and took on the number 1 overall seed in the tournament, the Virginia Cavaliers, and not only beat them, but destroyed them and did something that no one, and probably will never do again, did. And that was a 16 seed beating the number 1. And that was my choice for the biggest upset in NCAA tournament history.
Okay, we got UMBC versus Virginia right here. Jacob, what is your selection?
So when it comes to the biggest upset in March Madness history, you can't just think of, a 16 beating a 1. That's immediately the answer. You have to actually look at the game. And not only that, what it did for the sport. There is one game out there that changed the American landscape in general, not just college basketball, not just college life in general. Racism, segregation, it changed the outlook of the United States. And that was back in 1966 when Texas Western beat Kentucky.
All right. Just going to stop right there. Okay. We got Texas Western beat Kentucky versus UMBC versus beat Virginia right here. Fire it off, fellas.
First off, this is ridiculous that 2 white guys are arguing over racism right now. Your whole basis is that because it's the first all-black starting 5 to beat an all-white starting team, that makes it an upset. If anything, that makes it not an upset because they should have dominated. Plus, it's
not back in 1966.
Yes.
And they beat the all-white Kentucky, the number 1 team in the nation, Hall of Fame coach Adolph Rupp.
Cool. Texas Western was ranked 3rd. They were ranked 3rd. It's 1 versus 3, and it was the championship game. You're going to call it an upset when Texas Western is ranked 3 and makes it all the way to the championship game? That's not an upset. Those are 2
yes,
really
it was.
Good teams. No, it wasn't. That was 2 really good teams going against each other and just one team beating the other. Mine was a legitimate upset. Virginia had only lost 2 games prior in that season by a combined 4 points. They were a 20-point favorite. Literally, a month prior, UMBC lost to Albany, which no one knows that Albany has a basketball team apparently, but they lost to Albany by 41 points. They should not even – they needed a last-second buzzer shot just to win their conference tournament to get into the tournament. You're telling me that you don't worry about 16 or seedings when it comes to an upset? That is what this is. Yours, yes, a memorable, historic, important moment in March Madness history, but it's not an upset. It's a historic moment, but not an upset. Even if you go to a list of greatest upsets of all time, Texas Western against Kentucky is not even on the list because it wasn't an upset.
You are looking at the right list because it is up there.
I looked at like 18 lists, and it's only on one of them.
Okay, every single list I looked was on there. So relook at your list. Here's the biggest issue with that Virginia game. Virginia was not playing at 100% strength in that game. 2 days before, they lost their small forward, DeAndre Hunter, who was the ACC Sixth Man of the Year. They lost him to a fractured wrist. What's that?
Sixth man, not starting 5.
I know he wasn't the starting 5, but he was still a valuable asset to that offense. Because guess what? You're not going to have 5 guys running up and down the court for 40 minutes. You have to sub. And the fact that he was the best sub in the entire Atlantic Coastal Conference, he was a big key of that offense, a big offensive weapon on that end. He just didn't happen to be the best small forward on the team.
So your basis of your argument is that because the 6th man did not play, that the rest of the Virginia Cavaliers team isn't up to task against.
They didn't have the depth.
There are 13 players on a basketball team,
and they only played 7.
That's a coach's decision. And I guarantee Texas Western and Kentucky probably played the same amount of people. So where's your argument
They both played 9. So fact check you on that.
9 and 7.
So first off, there are 12 players on an NCAA basketball team, and normally coaches will play 8 to 9 of them. No, he was their second best player on the court.
And every player on that Cavs team would have been the starting player on UMBC.
Yeah.
Even
But
the bench players.
here's the thing. After that, his injury, a lot of like sports commentators, in fact, New York Daily News in their bracket changed from having Virginia winning it all to having them lose in the Sweet 16. A lot of sports commentators were like, hey, this is not the same Virginia that went 30-2. This is a different Virginia team because they lost a big key on their offense. And if you look at that game,
they weren't going to win the championship, but they weren't going to lose to a 16 seed. That's why they were a 20-point favorite.
You look at that game, though, UMBC did not beat them. They played horrible. They were 41% on field goals, 18 on three-pointers. You do not win a game with garbage stats like that. The fact that this is the only time a 16 seed beat a 1 seed, but yet the 2018 tournament is remembered for Kansas State, Florida State, Syracuse, Loyola Chicago, all bigger underdog stories, and none of them were a 16 seed. This is an asterisk. This is an asterisk. It's going to be
really. You're talking about read better lists. What's number 1 on every one of those lists? That's right. It's UMBC beating Virginia.
Because it was a 16-1. UMBC did nothing. UMBC did nothing after that game. They lost the very next game.
Okay, cool. You want to talk about poor shooting is the reason why they lost. Virginia never allowed a single team throughout the entire regular season to get over 70 points. UMBC scored 74.
Because they missed their best defender. They didn't have him.
Time. All right. What I do right here, I'm doing sort of a 10-second runoff, okay?
Wait, you mean end of round? Okay, yeah.
And
No, basically what he was trying to do was call timeout to get you guys to rein it in a little. You guys are yelling over the top of each other.
yeah.
Because he's stupid.
Damn. Oh, by the way,
I'll forever take your point off by saying that to me, all right?
No, I'm talking about Sean, not Jonathan.
Okay. All right. Final thoughts, 60 seconds. Are you ready, Sean?
What are you, 12, calling me stupid? God, at your age. The fact of the matter is, in that last minute, while we were yelling over each other, you basically gave me all the ammunition to win the argument. Everything you just said helped my argument. Texas Western was not an upset. It was a historical moment because it was an all-black starting 5 beating an all-white starting 5. Texas Western was number 3 in the country, and they made it to the championship game. Therefore, not an underdog story. Maybe an underdog story, but not the greatest upset in NCAA tournament history. You could have picked 50-plus other games that are more upset-worthy. Yours, historic, memorable, will be remembered for all time, but not because of it being an upset, but because of the historical moment of it. Mine will always be remembered because it is the first team out of 136 games that a 16 seed finally beat a 1. And just because one player didn't play doesn't take the fact that the Virginia should have destroyed UMBC.
All right, time.
I'm going to add my extra minute.
Okay. Extra minute used by Jacob right here. Make sure to add that right here, Matt. All right. Got it? All right. Okay. We'll start. So, Jacob starts talking.
The fact that you say Texas Western wasn't an upset is completely false. Yes, it was a 3 seed beating a 1 seed. Guess what? That's technically an upset. Plus, if you look at the story of that game, 5 black people are not supposed to play together. They're not supposed to gel like a team. And they did. Not only that, Bobby Joe Hill, the point guard, ran up and down court, destroying Pat Riley, Louis Dampier of the Kentucky Wildcats. He owned them. This was a team that should not have worked, that lost 1 game in the regular season and ended up winning the entire championship. They upset another team that was the number 1 team in the nation. Everyone had Kentucky winning because Texas Western was not supposed to be there. All the controversy that they had to face in real life in the championship, they had to play 2 more games in the tournament than Kentucky did, yet they were only 2 seeds behind them. If you look at the 2018 March Madness, you do not remember that a 1 seed lost to a 16 seed. You remember Loyola Chicago. You remember Syracuse. And then you're like, oh, yeah, I forgot. A 16 seed did beat a 1 seed. Who is that team again? I don't remember that team. You have to look it up. When you answered in our chat, you put UNBC. You misspelled the team name because it did not stick. It's the one time it's happened. It's more than likely going to happen again. As soon as it does, it is not going to hold up. Everyone remembers the Texas Western game versus Kentucky because it was the biggest upset, because not only was it a great game, it changed the aspect of college basketball. It changed the aspect of recruiting. It changed the aspect of college life in general. It changed America. This game changed America. This was bigger than college basketball. Yours is just an interesting stat that no one's going to remember.
Time.
For the record, N and M are right next to each other on the keyboard. That was just a slip of the finger, not that I didn't know the team name.
Sure it was.
All right. Calm down, you two. All right. Good back and forth by both of you right here. Good counterpoints right here. Gonna start with me on this one. For me, what really sold on me is Jacob's counter. And Jacob's counter not only explaining why his team thinks it's the sort of best upset and what is sort of impact by the upset happening. So he brought up really good things about his pick right here, and he explained why it matters of his pick right here. So for me right here, I'm going to give my point to Jacob right here. Matt, where are your points on that?
Oh, God, why do you always got to go to me? This was a great back and forth, but I'm kind of going to mirror exactly what you said. Jacob kind of painted a better picture of his, not just the fact that the game itself is memorable, but the reason behind it. Sean basically based his whole argument on a 16 beating a 1 seed, which, yes, like he said, it was 137?
135. Oh, and 135.
So, I mean, it's definitely a big picture, and it's almost pushed him over the top, but Jacob painted just a little bit better picture.
So you point to Jacob. All right. Jacob gets a point for this round right here. To the one, Jacob.
I'll just sit here. It's fine. I'm good.
All right. What point you could have had?
No, just to add on that, I felt like you guys didn't really discuss the teams in general as much as I wanted to. Like, you guys mentioned some of the roster on both teams, but you didn't really talk about what made them worthy of being the underdog or what made them being worthy of hire. So really, Jacob did kind of talk more on the on why it was an upset, and especially socially speaking, why it was an upset as well. Also, 2 white guys have been arguing about racist stuff for the last 50 years anyway, so why not just have another one? Go ahead. Let the 2 people of color in this chat room just judge you guys on discussing.
All right. 2-1, Jacob right here. We're going to round number 4 right here. All right. This is sort of a must-need point for Sean right here. If he wants to stay alive right here, though. If Jacob wins right here, he will win the championship match right here. All right. We're going to round number 4. Round number 4. And I pick a very interesting question for our competitors right here is fighting. Fighting in general. So what question I put from our players is this. What is the boxing championship match throughout the year 2000 to 2019? I'm actually going to start with Jacob on this one. All right. Jacob, your selection.
All right. So the best boxing championship match. This question was actually really hard to find a good answer for, but I did finally find the right answer. It was a little 12-round match in 2005 between a man named Corrales and a man named Castillo. It almost went on to spark a three-peat. They ended up fighting twice. Tragically, Corrales, just like Kobe, left us too soon before they were able to have our third fight. But I am talking about Corrales-Castillo 1. Corrales was 39-2, Castillo 52-6-1. Two guys at the top of their game. They were both lightweight champions in their respective leagues. It was a 12-round fight, made it to the 10th round where Corrales was able to knock out Castillo. And it was a great fight.
All right. Rico Castillo versus Castillo, the 2005 match. Sean, what you got?
When it comes to best boxing championship matches in the 2000s, I mean, it literally is two options. It's Jacob's choice or it's my choice, which was Eric Morales versus Marco Antonio Barrera in 2000 for the WBO Super Bantamweight Championship. Both fighters are Hall of Fame fighters. They were both iconic. Morales was 35-0 at the time and a champion in his division. Barrera was 49-2. He's kind of on a redemption arc, coming back after losing 2 straight fights to Jones Jr. or Junior Jones. I think it's Junior Jones. And they went out there, and this did go to a trilogy. This is the first match of the trilogy. And these two guys literally went out there and just left it all out there. The great thing about boxing, and what we love about boxing in terms of movies, are two guys that just go out there and just slug one another and won't go down, and who's going to break first. And the great thing about this fight is that they put it all out there for all 12 rounds. Neither one of them broke. There were times where they thought that one was going to fall, but they overcame that and fought back. And it was a great back and forth to the point where to this day, it is still, no one knows exactly who won. The judges chose Morales to win, but the fans wanted Barrera. But that's the way boxing is with judges. And to this day, it is still talked about, and it put on a phenomenal trilogy that won best boxing of every year that they had their fight.
All right. 2 good picks by both of you. All right. And boxing turn. Let's get ready to rumble.
All right, Sean. So just because you're the most talked about doesn't mean you're the best. I've had this conversation with someone who everyone makes fun of him, but he's like, everyone's talking about me. I'm the best person ever. No, everyone's talking about you because they fucking hate you. The reason why the Morales-Barrera fight is talked about, the reason why the Morales-Barrera fight is talked about still is because of the controversy surrounding it. The ref was horrible. I'm not a boxing fan, and I knew that. And then that decision at the end, Morales winning in split decision, did you hear the cheering after that? No, because everyone was booing. Everyone was giving the middle finger. Barrera won that fight.
That fight was neck and neck the whole way through. Both these guys were just laying each other out with punches. They both punched over 500 times in that match. They both landed over 270 punches in that fight. For two guys to go toe-to-toe and hit each other over 270 times is miraculous. And these two were just laying into one another. The ref had nothing to do with it. The ref let them fight. The ref did not have to break them up, which in your match happened a ton. The most boring thing about boxing, Jacob, and I think you can agree with me because you're not a boxing fan, is mainly because two boxers lock up, they hold each other, and the ref has to break them apart. In your match, that happened so many times, especially in the first few rounds, where they would just immediately come close. Yes, they'd get some punches here and there. Then they'd lock up. Then the ref would have to separate them. And then they'd get up close, they'd punch them, then they'd lock up. And the ref had to separate them. That does not make an exciting fight. It's a very dull fight. And it's got to the point where the crowd booed because they kept locking up. Your fight is still talked about. I didn't say my fight was talked about and yours wasn't. Both these fights are still talked about to this day. They're both fantastic fights. But my fight, these two guys stood toe-to-toe. They slugged. They never had to be pulled apart until the bell rang. Because
the ref wasn't paying attention.
No,
Like,
are you kidding me? Everyone's
you know
paying
how many low blows there were in that fight?
What's that?
Like that. You know how many low blows were in that fight?
Not nearly as much as yours, actually.
Actually, there were only like 3 in mine. There were several in yours.
No, mine had one. I'm sorry
did
about
it?
that.
Oh,
Yeah,
one
and
that was called. One that was called.
If it wasn't called, then it wasn't called. And neither of the boxers went, oh, like I got hit in the nuts.
If we're wrestling, if I kick you in the nuts and the ref doesn't see it, doesn't mean I didn't kick you in the nuts. I kicked you in the nuts.
Yes, but if you kicked me in the nuts, then how did you really kick me in the nuts?
What's that?
If you kicked me in the nuts and I showed that it didn't hurt and I kept fighting through, it's really hard for the ref or anyone else to notice that you just kicked me in the nuts. Let's put it this way. Your fight, like I said, still a fun fight, but your Corrales, the guy who won, was consistently cheating throughout the match. He constantly was punching in the back of the head, which is illegal. He kept spitting out his mouth guard.
He got punched in the face and the mouth guard flew out of his mouth?
No,
get that right.
He literally stuck his tongue out to spit the mouth guard. He deducted a point.
Only happened twice, though.
No, it happened more than once. He did it once.
It happened twice.
He did it once in the 8th round because he lost his mouth guard because he was getting hit and he got warned for a stalling tactic. Because he got hit, he was getting hit. He was starting to get rocked. He backed up and he stuck the mouthpiece out, and the ref had to stop the fight. And he got warned for it. The second time was after he got knocked down for the second time, and he did it to get more time to recover. And when he did, that's when he was able to rock Castillo. Your guy and then you had the low blows. There was in the 9th round, it had to be stopped and once again warned because it was back-to-back low blow shots. Like your fight, while entertaining as it was, mine was just more entertaining, and mine didn't constantly have controversial like rabbit to the head shots. Mine didn't have
a controversial call to finish the fight to give the winner.
A controversial call, man. Saying a controversial call is like saying that the sky is blue. It's boxing. Judges are bought. Judges are owned by other companies. It's the way it is, man. That's just boxing. The matter of the fact is that it was one of the best boxing matches ever created, just like yours. It won fight of the year. It won round of the year for its 5th round, alone, and then it went on to 2 trilogies that also won fight of the year. Yours were a great fight as well. I'm not knocking your fight as being bad. It's just mine was better. Mine was a better battle between 2 guys who literally left it all out there. They kept having to get pulled apart like 2 kids.
You say they left it all out there. They were both walking at the end. Castillo and Corrales literally both went to the hospital after this fight. They literally left it all out there.
All boxers go to the hospital after a fight, man.
Not all of them do.
Time. I feel like you two just have boxers during a match, though. Just, jeez. All right. Final thoughts. 60 seconds. Well, your closings. Sean, your final thoughts. Or Jacob, sorry. Sorry. I've been spent all night. All right. Jacob, final thoughts, 60 seconds. Begin closing.
So you're saying that the crowd was booing because of all the backing up that the ref had to do. Didn't reach the amount of booing that happened at the end of your fight. Mine had a clear-cut ending, had a fantastic ending. That 10th round was amazing, better than any round in your match. And you can prove that easily. And the fans were a lot more involved with a lot more cheering. The fact that after the final round, after the decision was made in your fight, you could not hear a single cheer because everyone was booing. Everyone was flipping off the ref and the refs because they made a bad call. Literally took people out of the match. You watch that? Barrera easily won that. They were both back and forth. They were both even. No, Barrera was easily the winner. But for some reason, they didn't give it to him. And that controversy just clouds that match, just like it does with the Patriots' 2007 season with Spygate.
Time. Man. Second time you mentioned Spygate for a round. All right. Sean, final thoughts. Take us in when you start talking.
Pretty sure you're watching the wrong boxing match because when Morales got chose the victor, the crowd cheered because most of the fans there were for Morales. When they said El Terrible is your winner, the crowd rose. There was no flipping off the ref. Plus, they're not referees. They're called judges. If you're going to argue a boxing match, at least know the right stuff. Your match, like I said, it was fun, but it was mostly just two guys just doing this the whole time. My guys got space and we're actually swinging for the fences and hitting it, just like you want in a boxing movie. The greatest boxing movies of all time, such as Rocky and all that, are two guys that are standing toe-to-toe and swinging haymakers at one another. And they did that not just in one round, like in the 10th round for yours, but from the start of round 1 all the way through round 10. They did go to the hospital afterwards because it's medically clear that they have to go to the hospital unless you knock someone out in the first round. Mine was a better fight from beginning to end. There was no judgment. There was no low blow BS calls. There was no warnings being issued. There was two fighters going out there and putting their lives on the line.
Time. Whew. Very good. This is a very compelling argument right here for two interesting boxing matches right here. I'm gonna start off with Matt. Wait, hold on. I'm actually gonna start with Matt Dean on this one. So, what are your thoughts on? Oh, sorry.
Don't worry, I'll get this. I was just pointing because everyone else is pointing. I'm a sucker for peer pressure. I'm gonna go with Sean on this one. I think you just brought a little bit more to the table, really bringing in how, like, there wasn't really a lot that he said negatively, or that there was to be said negatively about his fight, except that there was, like, you know, not a clear-cut winner and that there was a decision. But there's decisions in boxing. That's kind of how it works. If no one gets knocked down, or, you know, they don't throw the towel in. And with a split decision like that, especially in that match, it's kind of a hard thing to do. And round 5, I'm glad that you brought that up, because the round 5 in that match was probably the best boxing I have ever seen in my life. And the fact that you didn't focus too much on it, but you slid it in there, and that was enough for me that you were, like, you know, making sure that everyone knew that round 5 was up there. So I'm going to go with Sean on this one.
Right.
Moving on to whoever else wants to point.
I'll do it. Oh, okay. All right. Hey. All right. Stop it, YouTube. Stop it. All right. Gonna go into me real quick. Oh, Jesus. I'm done.
Power through it.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying. All right. For me, I had to give my point to Sean this one because he put up a more constrained argument right here when his match is actually more thought out right here. No pun intended. But I think he just put up a more clear facts that why his match is the best one out there. He also put out, like, some very compellingly counterpoints to Jacobs right here. When Jacobs tried to counter back right here, he did stop it right here. So I think that was well good by Sean. So I had to give my point to Sean on this one. We're in the tie 2-2 right now.
Marbles.
Matt, what would you could have had if you could have had that?
That makes all three of us, because I too would have given my point to Sean. He just came with a better argument this round, and I know both of them don't like boxing, so I have to give you both credit for that, because you both came out.
Now it's a tie game 2-2. We're gonna go into the final question right here. Not say speed round question, but the final question right here, around number 5, and the category for the last one is for the NBA. The NBA. And we just thought right here, for the question for this question is this. What is the greatest NBA Finals moment of the 21st century? So, we're going to sort of start off with Sean on this one when he starts talking.
For me, when it comes to a moment, is something that years later, you still remember that what happened at that moment when you were sitting down watching a game, or if you were at the game, that you can 100% put yourself in that place and go, I remember what I was doing. I remember how I reacted. I remember everything about this one moment. That's what makes a finals moment, or just a sports moment in general, so beautiful, is that you will always remember where you were at when you saw this. And for me, there's one moment, at least in the last 20 years, that I still remember to this day. I almost got kicked out of my apartment for noise complaints because I was screaming so loud when it happened. I had 7 noise complaints because of this. But it is the 2003 Game 6 between the Miami Heat and the San Antonio Spurs. I'm a diehard Heat fan, and I thought the game was over. The Spurs literally were destroying the Heat, and the Heat battled it back, and Ray Allen hit a game-tying, series-saving 3 with like 3 seconds left in the game to basically force an overtime, which led to the Heat winning in Game 7 and winning back-to-back. And that moment when Ray Allen hit that 3 at Miami, when the crowd lost it, the announcers lost it, still to this day, I still get goosebumps just thinking about that moment. And that is why it is the greatest finals moment in the 21st century.
All right. Right here. Ray Allen for in the end. All right. Jacob, what pick do you pick?
So every sport has that one player that everyone hates. No one wants to watch him win. Football, it's obviously Tom Brady. Eagles fan, Cowboys fan, Giants fan, Redskins fan, all voting for, all wanting Eli Manning to win. And in basketball, there hasn't really been that one person. There's been a bunch of people, and only in certain times. I'm going to go back to a year in 2010. LeBron James had just signed with the Miami Heat, and the way he did it was horrible. Cavalier fans were burning their jerseys. He had an hour special called LeBron the Decision. Literally, Justin Timberlake quoted this in the ESPYs. I would rather watch soccer than watch that again. An hour of TV more boring than a soccer game. Just to say, I'm taking my talents to South Beach. And then a couple days later, him, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh are all on a runway looking at fans, and they start talking, and LeBron's like, man, we're not going to win 1 championship. We're not going to win 2, not 3, not 4, not 5, not 6, not 7. America hated him. America wanted to watch him lose. And it just so happened that year they made it to the NBA Finals. And in Game 6, lost to the Dallas Mavericks. So I am picking when the Dallas Mavericks beat him in Game 6.
Oh, what year?
All right. Let's make sure I got this right. We got the Dallas Mavericks beating the Miami Heat in 2011 NBA Finals versus Ray Allen's game-tying 3-pointer in the 2013 Finals. So let's battle out.
So Sean,
the Miami Heat fan before LeBron showed up. So
what's that?
I was a Miami Heat fan before LeBron showed up. So
okay.
I mean, we'll get that out of the way before we go into it.
Okay, we'll go ahead and do that.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So I want to correct you. You said Ray Allen scored with 4 seconds left. It was actually 5.2 seconds left. So still enough time for San Antonio to call a timeout, get a play, get a shot off to win the game.
In fact,
before Chris Bosh blocked it.
They had no timeouts left. They got a fake timeout because they challenged on whether Ray Allen hit the 3. They had no timeouts left. So if you want to go,
they still were able to stop the time, which is a timeout. They were able to call a play. They gave it to Danny Green to score. I believe it was a 21-foot jumper. 21 point. That's a shot, and he gets blocked by Chris Bosh. Much better because that was really the game saving. But then they also had to play 15 minutes in overtime. And you know what?
Overtime's 5 minutes, by the way, but go on.
Is it 5 minutes? Okay. However long they played, that last minute and 43 seconds, the Heat played outstanding defense. That shot would not matter if a minute 43, LeBron makes a two-point jump shot to make it 101 to 100. Minute 19 seconds, they're able to draw a 24-second violation against the Spurs, getting the ball back. 44 seconds left. Manu is going to dunk it. LeBron steals it from him. 32 seconds left. Tony Parker going for a shot. Chris Bosh blocked him again. 2 seconds left in the game. Ray Allen steals it from Manu. Again, a game-winning shot that he was about to make. And then, of course, 1 second left. Danny Green had another chance at a game-winning three-pointer blocked by Chris Bosh. Your one moment saved the game, prolonged the game, but it's not what made them win the game, and it's not what made them win the series.
That's not the argument that we're arguing here. We're not arguing moment.
It's not the best moment of the game.
Really, because my moment's called the shot. Are any of those moments dubbed anything by the basketball community? No. Yours isn't even a moment. Yours is just something that happened. It was an event. Yours is not even a precise moment. Because let me get you this. You want to say, oh, the Mavericks beating the Heat. Ooh. The Mavericks were a one loss bet or fewer than the Heat in regular season. The Mavs swept the Heat in the regular season. They were the one team that dominated the Heat throughout the year. Plus, the Mavericks won the last 3 games of that finals. They went into the fourth quarter with a 10-point lead. The Heat never got closer than 8 points in that final fourth quarter. That was not a moment. It was already said and done for the whole half of the fourth quarter. So you're talking about the actual greatest moment in finals history? You didn't even choose the greatest moment. You could have gone with Ray Allen's 3. You could have gone with LeBron's block that gave Cleveland their first championship. You could have gone with Kyrie's 3. You could have gone with Allen Iverson stepping over Tyronn Lue in the 2001 finals that gave the Lakers their first loss in the playoffs because they were going undefeated. Instead, you chose something that wasn't even a moment. When the game finally ended, there was no celebrations. Oh my God, Miami lost. No.
Because it was in Miami.
Dirk ran to the locker room so he could go cry off camera, and the rest of the the Dallas Mavericks on court, they just shook hands with the Heat like, good game. There was no celebrations. The only person celebrating was Mark Cuban, which if you want to talk about anyone who hates everyone in the NBA, everyone hates Mark Cuban more than LeBron James. Let's put facts where facts go. Yours wasn't a moment. Mine was a moment. Mine is dubbed one of the greatest final moments in the last century or in this century because it was the shot. The way the crowd lost their minds, the way they literally had the trophy ceremony on the side of the court ready to go because they knew that the Spurs were going to win. If it wasn't for Ray Allen's 3, the Spurs would have been the champions that year. That is what a moment is. It's not what happened after that. It wasn't, oh, it went for 5 more seconds or, oh, it went to an overtime or went to a game 7. We're talking about the greatest finals moment.
And it's not the greatest because it's overshadowed by overtime and game 7. That shot alone did not win the finals.
That moment is what got to us that overtime. That moment is what got us game 7. It was a series-saving 3-point shot. Yours isn't even a moment. No one even talks about your moment. If you go back to the greatest final moments in the last century, no one talks about the Mavericks beating the Heat.
Yes, so just because Bleacher Report doesn't agree with me makes you right. See, the reason this moment was so great is because the Heat lost. Well, there was no celebrating in the stadium because it was in Miami. Miami wanted to win that. All around the world, they were cheering because LeBron lost. And then Dirk Nowitzki became a career.
Time.
Okay, again. All right. Well, things get pretty heated up here right now. All right. Very good. Okay. No, I kind of got my pun, but okay. All right.
Seriously, man, things got heated. You maverick.
I honestly didn't even know that until you brought that in.
Guys, a bunch of mavericks. All right. Final closing with Sean. Will you start talking?
I will go ahead and just because I have it, I'll go ahead and just give my extra minute for the closing. So.
All right. Use the extension wisely right here. All right. Make sure Matt get ready to set it up. All right. So will you start talking?
Oh, sorry. The question to this round is greatest NBA Finals moment of the 21st century. Yours is not a moment. Yours is an event that happened. Yes, the Mavericks beat the Heat. Trust me, I watched it. I was heartbroken. But I was heartbroken at the beginning of the fourth quarter when the Heat were down 10 because I knew that the Heat weren't going to come back. And I watched that whole fourth quarter sadly because I just don't leave games. But that moment when the game ended, there was no, oh my God, this is the biggest upset. Da, 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 da. It was like, and the Mavericks won the NBA Finals. They beat LeBron James' Heat. We'll see what happens. The dynasty didn't start yet at that moment. It wasn't the greatest finals moment in the 21st century. You could have came up with 10 different other things that happened in the last 20 years to pick. You picked something that was a footnote and what eventually led to the back-to-back NBA championships. But what I picked is an actual moment that people call the shot. It is one of the greatest NBA playoff moments, NBA finals moments in history. And no, not because a Bleacher Report said it. It's on everything. It's literally called a shot. What do they call the Mavericks beating the Heat? Mavericks winning the NBA championship in 2011. Mine is called Ray Allen's shot. It is a moment that has lived in infamy. It is a moment that saved the Miami Heat from utter collapse. They were dominated by the Spurs that whole NBA finals, and that three not only saved that game, but it saved the series. Without that three, nothing else mattered. That three is what is called a moment, which is what the question is. Moment, not event. Moment. The only reason it happened is because the great Greg Popovich messed up and benched Tim Duncan because they wanted the threes guarded. LeBron James shot, missed it. Bosh was there because Duncan wasn't able to get the rebound, and Ray Allen hit the three. It is the greatest finals moment in the 21st century.
Time. Woo! All right, Jacob. Final thoughts when you start talking.
Okay, you can't say mine's not a moment. The judges accepted it. You have to say it's an actual moment. The fact that this moment does live up, though, is because America wanted LeBron to lose. When that game was over, he lost. America loved it. America hated him for the decision. But then also, if you look at what happened with the Mavericks, this is a team that has never won the championship. Got really close in 2006 before they lost to the Heat. Were able to steal that series from them in 2011 in Miami. Dirk Nowitzki, one of the best power forwards. No one says that because he's overshadowed by Tim Duncan. He never had a championship ring. He got that ring. The reason he had to go to the locker room after that game was because his emotions, he could not hold that moment in anymore. He didn't want, he had to have it by himself. He talked about it. When the buzzer rang, he won. It was just so surreal. All the emotions came pouring out. He could not handle himself. He had to be alone.
Time. Wow. Amazing. All right. Maybe a good closer for this championship match round here. Great compelling arguments for both each side. Put up good counters and counter of the opponent's arguments right here. So let me see who will win. Matt, what point should this person go to?
Oh, by the narrowest of margins, I've got to give it to Sean.
All right. Well, no, Sean. Maddie, we should get this point too. Choose wisely.
You guys both came out with some really good points on your individual moments. But I think what it came down to for me was in terms of how Sean had spoken about how will people remember this and where they were and like things like that. And that kind of pushed it over the edge for me. So I'm going with Sean as well.
All right. With that, and your winner, champion of Sports Brawl, Sean Wasserkrug.
Although, Sean, I do need to say, this guy gave you hell, man. I don't think you can call yourself a god since he made you bleed in this fight.
I'll talk in my post interview. Thank you very
All
much.
right, I'm just want to make sure you're, and I don't know where I'm going with this anymore. I'm just kind of losing it. It's late. I'm tired.
Yeah, same thing for me. Congratulations, Sean. You have won the Sports Brawl Championship match. We're gonna do some of our post-game interviews. So, what thoughts? Just wow. What a great battle between these two competitors right here. Just what do you think, guys, right here?
Oof. Oof. I'm gonna drop another baseball related pun, but you know what? No, I'm gonna go boxing. I'm gonna go boxing for this one. They came out. No, I'm gonna change that again. I'm gonna go wrestling. Good old JR. This was
man, pick a pun.
Fuck it, I have too many puns. No, but honestly, they both came out with a slobber knocker. Sean, you know, in 300, King Leonidas proved that the God King can bleed. I'd say in this fight, definitely Papa West made you bleed. So this was a great match. I'm glad I was able to watch it.
All right, man. You came so close for being Sean right here. So close. How are you feeling right now?
Oh, I was so close. I was winning 2-1. I'm not gonna lie. I am not a boxing, UFC, any fighting fan. I'm just now getting back into wrestling, so maybe I'll get into all that. And the placement of that question really threw me off. I should have started a lot hotter. If I came with question 1 with the same passion I had 2 and 3, it would have been a knockout. No, listen. He's double belted for a reason, not for much longer, because I am coming back for it. But yeah, this has definitely been the best debate that I've been a part of for a while now. I'm not upset with the way I performed. Definitely can see some stuff I would change. I'm the champion. Yes, little Sean, and I'll let you fill that big head with all your pride, because I'm coming back.
Coming back.
And I'm taking that belt from
you. All right. We got our winner, the champion of Sports Brawl, Mr. Sean Wasserkrug. How are you feeling here tonight around here?
To break kayfabe real quick, for people who don't know what that means, that's a wrestling term where you break your character. I will send my utmost respect to Jacob West for putting on a great performance against me. You are the first person to not get TKO'd by me. Still no speed round, but that's because championship matches don't have speed rounds. Yes, you made me bleed. You're also the first person to ever make me go behind, have to come back from behind. I've always led in every debate match, but nonetheless, I'm now 9-0. But yes, you put on a fantastic performance there. I can't knock anything you did. And I would gladly play you in a rematch. I'm not a champion, as much as Nico would love to say it. I'm not a champion that runs for my challengers. And frankly, in terms of the Sports Brawl division, Jacob, you're the only one that actually has any remote chance of actually competing against me. So I think you're just number one contender again already, unless they feel like you have to prove it, which frankly, based off the competition so far, you don't need to prove it. So we can go again. I will be glad to play you again. Now that that's over, back into character mode. Yes, your debate god got roughed up a little bit, but you know what? It's one match of 3 for me in Debate Kingdom. Your debate god is still your Sports Brawl champion. And you know what? It wouldn't be fun if I beat everyone so quickly. This is a championship match for nerd fights, yeah, because apparently they all want to take their sweet time on deciding who actually wants to play me. But for the one person who consistently wants to talk trash, who said that I wasn't a true champion because I never won the Sports Brawl Championship. Well, you know what? I just beat the best contender for it. I am now 100% bona fide, undisputed, your Sports Brawl champion. I am your Nerd Fights champion. And Nico, 1-2. Sean's coming for you. get Red Sonja ready because I'm 1 match down. 2 more to go. 2 more to go. Nico, you and me, we're going to tangle. I'm going to beat you down because I'm frankly, based on the rest of the matches here, this was my hardest one. Yours is going to be my easiest. I'm going to knock you out. I'm going to make you never want to debate and chokeslam ever again. Jacob, fantastic performance. I will definitely see you again. Nerd fights, I don't even know who the hell I'm playing, so I don't care. I'm going to win that. But Nico, I'm coming to destroy you. And like I said in my promo so long ago, I'm going to make Red Sonja my bitch. So clean her up for me and send her my way. Because in the main event of Debate Kingdom, I'm going to destroy you.
Very good. Strong words indeed, Sean. Words indeed. Wow. What a match. What a match. Do you guys agree?
Yeah, no, that was probably one of the better matches I've been a part of.
Yeah.
Woof. Woof. These two, like I said, I've seen these two compete before. Jacob's passionate, period. But I've never seen Sean get, I don't want to use the term rattled, but Jacob definitely hit him a few times and kind of knocked him off his back foot. So, like I said in our little chat, I think we need to set up the rematch here very soon.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Boy, if
you know what, this fight just reminds me of, like, I don't know if you guys are boxing fans, but I've been a boxing fan for a long while. This fight was as close to Lee Frazier that I've seen in this league or any of the fan leagues. Like, just two heavy competitors going at it, giving everything they got, bringing everything they got to the table too. And like the final decision, I mean, you switch one answer around and it's like it's the other guy winning. Credit to Jacob and Sean, both of them, for just giving everything. Like, Sean won, but only by the slightest of margins in my eyes, and I feel like you guys think the same way. But these two are probably hands down 1 and 2 in this league right now, and I don't see anyone else being able to top them anytime soon.
No. You were talking about boxing. My ex-father-in-law was an Olympic boxer, so I completely understand what you're saying. These two did not pull any punches. Yeah.
Another pun. I love it.
And gentlemen, this is night 1 of Debate Kingdom. Tomorrow night, I'm going to drop this in here. Tomorrow night, we're going to my league. We're stepping into the game zone. We know for a fact that Papa West will be back, and you will see him again this Debate Kingdom. He unofficially is the Game Zone champion right now, but that is an open title right now. It will be set tomorrow night. He was supposed to play for the champion. The champion stepped away, which is we don't care about. It will be him, and it will be Grant. So we've got American versus Aussie tomorrow night in the Game Zone. I can tell you personally, because I wrote the questions, these questions threw both of them for a loop. Papa West is one of my best friends, and he told me he hated 2 of my questions. So if this is night 1, let's see where night 2 leads to the choke slam, to the nerd fights, which means yet again we will see the God again. More power to him if he can keep this run up. That just proves how good he really is. Jonathan, I gotta thank you for putting this together. This was a hell of a fight. Yeah, there was no need for the 3 knockdown rule because they kept knocking each other down. Boxing pod number 2 of this. All right.
And that's what might be it for tonight, folks, right here. I'm your host and head. I just want to say thank you for all for watching this afternoon. I'm your host, Jonathan the Raptor Master Pack right here. If you want to try to find me or contact me, go on to my Twitter account and my Instagram account is jpeg1098, or find me on Facebook around here. Guys, you want to plug in social media plugins right here real quick?
Start with the competitors.
All right. Sean, our champion, you want to get any social media plug-ups or any plugins?
Yeah, obviously you guys know I have my own show. It's called Sean's Movie Crusades on YouTube. If you guys want the latest reviews on all the movies that are coming out, or if you guys just want to hear me and the rest of the movie crusaders, aka the Cinema Asylum, just bullshit, feel free to check us out on there. It's Sean's Movie Crusades on YouTube. It's Crusades with a Z in the middle, not an S. You can also follow us on Facebook and Sean Movie Crusades, or just follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Letterboxd, Instagram, all of them. It's either Sean's Movie Crusades or S Movie Crusades. You can find me there. If you guys want to talk sports, movies, wrestling, I'm open to talking about whatever, as long as it's a fun conversation. And I'll see you guys there.
All right, Jacob, any plugins?
Yeah, and you can find me Facebook, Jacob E. West. Yes, that E is important. I don't know any other Jacob West, so I don't know if they're creepy but I know me. I'm a nice guy. You can find me Twitter and Instagram 307 Jakob. That's YAHKOB. You can find me all around TMG. I help run late TV fights. So if you want to get in on that, let me know. And you can also find me tomorrow at Debate Kingdom. Filling this empty hole I have in my chest right now. This hunger that I wasn't able to fully feed off. I need a belt.
Wear little Sean around your neck. He'll help you win.
Also,
Jacob, you can do it. Kick that Aussie's ass. You can do it. Little Sean.
You have the debate god seal of approval.
Yes.
To do that if you want.
Thank you, little Sean. I'm gonna carry you with me forever.
Okay. I'm gonna turn to one of my co-hosts right here. Matt D, anything plugins you want to plug?
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, did he say Maddie or did he say Madi?
Madi.
Oh, my bad. My bad.
It's
sounded
all
Maddie
good, man.
in here.
That's what we get for having very similar names. Yeah, you guys can find me on Facebook. I'm in all the groups, just searching. There's not a lot of Madis. Let's be real. It's not going to come up much. Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram is at MadiR. Do you sleep with that puppet?
Don't answer. Please don't answer that.
So I used to not. Literally, I made him.
The people want answers.
Let me finish.
Let the people hear the answer.
I made him, colored him, filmed a video, threw him in my bag, forgot about him. That's why he's all crinkled up. I might start sleeping with him at least on my nightstand.
I don't feel safe.
There's too much room with me and my wife on my bed. I don't let my kids sleep on my bed. I'm not going to let little Sean on my bed for now, at least.
All right. Maddie, any plugins real quick?
All right. Obviously, like I said, tomorrow night, Game Zone Championships going down. Want to get involved in that? Best way to do it is hit me up on Facebook at Matt Graham. And a bunch of us are. We're also starting Suplex City Chats. It's going to come live on here, obviously. And we're going to talk the week in wrestling. We're going to go Friday night SmackDown through the Wednesday night Wars. If it includes a pay-per-view, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. By now you should have already seen the first episode. So stay going.
Little Sean can sleep with whoever he wants.
All right.
Okay. I don't know. I don't assume genders anymore.
All right. Oh God, we have to do this right here. I'm
not getting invited back to judge if you can't tell.
All right.
I'll invite you.
Right. Okay. This is Jonathan Peck here. I just want to say good night, everybody. And this is part 1 of Debate Kingdom. If you take part 2 right here, we got great stuff around here on the channel. So, just want to say, and good night, everybody.